I'm really curious, you were working at Bloomberg for several years before you started your own company. So how did you get the idea for this company and how did you make the switch?
The idea came out of personal frustration. My co-founder and I used to work at Bloomberg and used to travel a lot for business and for leisure. And each places we used to go to presented the same problem. We couldn't find a affordable accommodation which would offer a unique experience. And on the other end, my apartment would seem empty for a few days of the year, and it was very difficult for me to find a way to rent my apartment safely and seamlessly without reaching out to a real estate agent or online classified. So I thought, oh, there must be a way to solve the two problems, create one marketplace where renting an apartment from or to a stranger can be seamless and can be safe. And that's how ROOMORAMA started.
So previously, how was this market not being served well by sort of the traditional model of going to a city, finding an agent, et cetera?
This is a very different type of business than the traditional real estate agent type business. First of all, when you talk about first short periods, the commission is very low, so it's not very appealing for this type of audience. And second of all, operationally speaking, they're not used to the idea of providing consumers with those requirements that the short-term travelers would want. Say, for example, furnish the apartment, taking care of the check-in, check-out process, providing certain amenities like internet. So what we do at ROOMORAMA is work with professional managers and people who work on behalf of the landlord who treat this as a business. So short-term rental is the only activity they work on is they allocate a certain number of units for short-term accommodation, and that's done throughout the year for those period, which is usually 1 to 90 days.
So it sounds like you focus on a different group of people, both consumers and in terms of the property owners than Airbnb might. What ways do you differentiate yourself with the Airbnb and some of the other short-term rental sites out there? And what are your competitive advantages?
Sure. There's certainly some overlap in the sense that we work in the short-term rental industry, and we have also ROOMORAMA has some certain peer-to-peer element. I would say that most of our inventory is now professionally managed. Actually, more than 93% of our inventory is professionally managed. Unlike Airbnb, where most of the units are rented out on an occasional basis, or there is more interaction between the guest and the host. So there's also an element of, there's also a social element that ROOMORAMA probably doesn't have to the same extent of Airbnb. The interaction is very limited between the two parties because, quite honestly, our travelers just want to get an apartment, stay in that apartment or a house, and they don't they want the privacy, they want the exclusivity of the place just for themselves. And in fact, at ROOMORAMA, we only have less than 5% of our properties that are available for sharing. So those are two big elements of differentiation. Another one is the fact that we were the first company to actually start growing our business into the Asian market. We launched in March last year. We opened up an office in Singapore, and we feel there's a huge opportunity in the old Asia-Pac region, including China. So that's something that we plan to work on in the next few months to come.
What is the startup scene like in Singapore right now?
It's very up and coming. It's definitely a great place to start your business. First of all, because they speak English. The workforce is very highly skilled. The environment is very proactive. We have a lot of help from the government. If you're starting your own company, that wasn't the case for us because we came in and we were already in 2 years of operation. But it's also a very small community, so there's an element of closeness, and you feel that you can get or give help to other people in the tech community in Singapore. So it's definitely a great place to start your own business or to expand your business if you want to get into Asia.
So I'm curious, so you guys are based in Singapore, but the majority of your customers right now are coming from the US. Mm-hmm. So how do you manage sort of your customer development process if you're located halfway across the world from where most of your consumers are based?
Actually, the funny thing is that we have our customer service located in the Philippines. So we have our customer service, which works on a 24/7 basis, is located in the Philippines. We are a global business, so it doesn't really matter whether there are customer support is located in Singapore, New York, or elsewhere. We make sure that wherever you are, whatever time you interact with ROOMORAMA, before, during, or after a booking, we can provide that kind of support to you. And that's why the choice of New York versus Singapore wasn't really a big deal for us. We thought that would be something we could manage from the Philippines.
And sort of on that note, you guys are developing a product where you're managing properties, where there's properties on your platform located all across the world. Your customers are coming from the US, but also from other countries. So how have you kind of managed the development process for a product that's really sort of operating in multiple markets at once, and what challenges have you faced there?
You're talking about the development in terms of like the development of the website, or the actual scaling of the inventory?
Oh, I think both sides. I think scaling the inventory, but then also, just having a company that in nature where your product, there's stakeholders, but they're all located in different countries.
Sure. I mean, there's a few elements in place. From the supply side, what we do, we have basically people working from all over the world. We have our sales force is divided in two components. One is the senior guys, and the other one is what we call at ROOMORAMA an inside sales team. Most of the people are working from Singapore. It's a very global business, so I think it's important to not forget that if you want to work in this space and if you want to have a global presence, it's important that you look out for inventory in each part of the world. We try to work with individual owners who can provide anything between 10 to 500 properties, and we also try to work with bigger partners that have 5,000, 10,000 properties. But I guess the common pattern is that we always look for people who do it on a professional basis. That's the most important thing for us. In terms of development, we keep everything in-house. Our development team is working from Singapore, but ironically, very few people are from Singapore. We actually had our CTO is from Belgium, our developers are from Australia, US, Canada. So we have people coming from all over the world, and we try to keep this international vibe in our Singapore office.
So Adrian mentioned earlier that for AirZoo, their target population is kind of in China looking for short-term rental, not necessarily looking for a really nice place to stay. Airbnb, it sounds like it's much more casual. You're looking to stay with other people. And then for your sort of typical customer profile, how would you sort of describe your typical customer on the platform?
I would say it's a little bit more affluent and also older in terms of age. When we first started ROOMORAMA, we thought that the concept would be more appealing to people in the 18 to 25 years old kind of range. And now we realize it's mostly 30 years old and above. Usually is business travelers. We have small groups, families. It's people not looking for a place to crash for a couple of days, but for looking for quality accommodation at a reasonable rate. Usually the average night stay of ROOMORAMA is 9 nights. So clearly it's not people who just want to stay at a place for and pay little money. It's people who want the luxury, people who want the quality that only a home accommodation will be able to provide.
So you guys recently merged with a company called Lofty. Was that last year?
That was 2 months ago.
2 months ago, okay. So as an early stage company, I mean, you don't see a lot of mergers and acquisitions between really, really early stage companies. From your perspective, what was that like, sort of integrating cultures, bringing new people onto the team? How did that process work for you?
Well, it took 4 months to complete the merger because obviously the company, first of all, is based in New York, and now it's part of ROOMORAMA. It wasn't an easy process because obviously there were different people with different cultures. We also had a different story because ROOMORAMA had been in operation for 3.5 years, whereas Lofty just 1 year. But I guess the main goal, we share the same goal. We both want to grow in the B2C type of business. We wanted to grow along with them because we thought that we would be a great complement for each other. We already had the reputation, we already had the brand, we already had SEO presence all over the world, and we had a proven business model. On the other end, what Lofty brought to the table was a very unique technology that would allow us to grow our inventory at a much faster rate than we were doing before. And we have a very experienced senior business development team that is now working in part of ROOMORAMA. So now the team is one, and we are very happy about this recent merger.
And then lastly, so you guys already have 60,000 properties on your platform, but what does the future hold for you? What is your goal for the next year?
We expect to quintuple our inventory in the next 9 to 12 months. So we expect to be at around 300,000 properties. So we expect to become the biggest marketplace in the world for professionally managed properties. And the goal of ROOMORAMA is and will be to be able to match the hotel experience whereby you go to a site, you see the accommodation you like, and you can book it instantly. So the process will be as seamless and safe as it would be as for a hotel room. Something else that we are doing right now is we are in the process of launching our first iOS application. That would happen in sometime between July and August this year. We also plan to have Android by the end of the year. We really feel that there's a lot of demand by the mobile consumers out there, and that's why we wanted to address it by providing them with a very innovative type of technology. So this is pretty much where we stand.
Okay, great. Oh, and last question. Do you guys actually do the verification of the properties yourself, or do you rely on the managers to do that?
No, we do the verification both for the host and the guest.
Okay.
And we actually have a 6-digit payment process in place that guarantees that the check-in will be successful for our guests. The way it works is that when you make a payment, when you make a booking with ROOMORAMA, ROOMORAMA provides you with a 6-digit payment code. On the check-in day, if the apartment looks as advertised and you're happy with the accommodation, you hand over that code to the host, and the host will be able to redeem the funds from us. So that way, we're able to guarantee that the check-in will be successful and the money of the guest is secure until that happens.
Mm-hmm. And then, I'm sorry, I have one more question. So in terms of the fundraising process, you guys recently raised $2.1 million, is that? And as a company based in Singapore with a global presence, how do you find, were your investors all based in Singapore, or how do you find
None of them.
Okay, so as a global company, investors tend to be most comfortable with companies that are in their market, in a market that they're familiar with. And so for you, going out to pitch VCs, how did you kind of convince them or find a good fit there?
It can be a challenge, but don't forget that we are a US company by all means. We just have, we manage most of the operations from Singapore, but we have our office in New York where we started the company. And we now actually 7 people on staff there. So we see ourselves as a global company. Yes, it's not easy to raise money in Singapore from US VCs or vice versa. But I think the investors who put money in ROOMORAMA understand the sense of global touch that is required for this type of business. And I think it's not just a matter of, you don't want to look at the process of raising funds. You also want to think in terms of optimizing your cost. And that's the other reason why I wanted to move to Singapore, because effectively it was much more efficient than the US.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's all we have time for, but thank you so much.
Thank you very much.